Yes, guys, welcome to Chasing Green Arrows. This is FPL Insight. I'm Gianni, the FPL guy, off the back of 6 out of 7 Green Arrows, and I'm joined by Dean Jones, Football Insider. Dean, how are you, mate?
Yeah, very good, mate. Yep, the international break is over. It was a good international break because it's actually worthwhile because we got to see some of those teams that are actually going to be in the World Cup. So I've enjoyed my scouting mission over the last 10 days or so. But
Nice.
Yeah, in FPL sense, like this is what it's all about. And some big games. You know, it's a hectic schedule coming up, especially in the Premier League. Loads of matches this month. And for some teams, it could define their season too, especially with that pause coming up in November. So, yeah, really excited. And a big fixture to kick off the weekend too. So yeah, loving it.
Yeah, I'm well excited this weekend. Sure, FPL's back. Game week 9 is going to be a big one. I'm excited from just a football fan perspective. We've got Arsenal versus Spurs in the early kickoff. We've got the Manchester Derby on Sunday. We're going to see Chelsea under Potter for the first time in the Premier League. We've got Liverpool against Brighton and loads that are going to go captain Mo Salah. That could be a big one. And then we've got Monday night game as well. We'll be live on Monday before that game. So yeah, it's going to be a very good weekend. I look forward to having that debrief on Monday because I think it's going to be I think the weekend's going to be full of carnage. What are you expecting in that Manchester Derby? Are you back? Do you give United a sniff in this?
I mean, look, they've done it before. If you think back, last season, obviously City gave them a bit of a pasting. They are the better team. Last season, I think they played Phil Foden up as the number 9 the last time they played, and City won 4-1. But if you think back, the time before that, United won 2-0, and it was like that breakaway football. They're going to have to play on the break. We'll talk a bit more in depth in a bit about like the lineups and what we can expect from United. But look, they're going to have to pull off the best performance they've had so far this season in the toughest game they've had so far this season. And they've got to stop Erling Haaland. I genuinely don't think it's impossible that United get a result here, but obviously it's unlikely.
Yeah. Guys in the chat, good to see so many of you popping in. Good to see Matty and Leo and CH and River and Nuclear and Kev and Tiffany. Loads of our favourites. Cameron, it's good to see you as well, dude. You mentioned you'll be voting for us in the awards. Unfortunately, we didn't make the cut. Next year,
I think that's already over, mate. Sorry, Cam. Appreciate
we weren't
the love.
Shortlisted, were we? We were on the long list and not the short list. I mean, everyone was on the long list.
But, I mean, yeah. So
we'll have our moment.
Appreciate the love, but yeah, we'll be back next year.
Yeah, and never give up FPL. That's our message. And
it's
never
early
give up
days.
FPL's
It's
with
early
us.
days.
This is good evening. Going to take pics of the Northern Lights when this stream is done. Wow, where are you? Where are you in Finland or Norway or Sweden, Iceland?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'd love to see the Northern Lights. Norway flag is there apparently. I'm only seeing the little tick, but
it's got a Norway flag on the end. Yeah, lovely. Oh, that's a really cool thing to do.
Yeah, good stuff. Thank you, guys. We've got a fun hour coming up in today's show. We're going to be doing Against the Obvious. If you're new round here, we pick a player and tell you why not to pick them. The catch is we pick a player that's very highly owned each week. So Dean does one 60-second sell. I do exactly the same. We're going to be revealing our teams. Dean's made his transfers. I will tell you more about my team coming up. I'm not going to give away too much too soon, but stay tuned for that. We're going to be answering your questions, of course. Dean's going to have his starting 11s from some of the big teams as well. You guys know we get a huge amount of insight from Dean, so get your questions in around selection, but we'll be giving the headlines on a few of the big teams and, of course, answering your questions when we can. The Arsenal injuries, the Liverpool injuries, the Manchester Derby 11s. It's all going to be a very big week. Also, Dean, we've got a special guest on Monday night. I don't think we can say who just yet, but
just in case it doesn't come through.
Yeah. I'm very excited for Monday night. It's going to be a good one, right?
I mean, I can't believe we've got this person coming on. He or she is a household name across football. A cult hero in the FPL world, I would say. Someone you never, ever hear from on a casual perspective. It's going to be unreal. Do not miss Monday. If this comes off, if you manage to pull through with this, because it's your contact, then you've really, really pulled one out the bag. I'm really excited. Sorry, everyone, we don't want to say the name right now, but trust me, this happens, you'll want it longer than an hour.
Yeah, I'm loving that. Guys, give us a like to give more encouragement as to who we get in. Yeah, CH says Solanke. No, it's even better than Dom Solanke coming in.
Solanke after everything you've said.
Guys, let's tee up our first feature of the night. We're going to have a look at Fresh Off the Press. Here we go, Dean. What are the big news? We got a few injury
Yeah, there's a
concerns at a few of the
lot.
big clubs.
This is the thing, isn't it? Off the back of an international break, it's very, very difficult for us to get a clear indication of who's actually fit, what their levels of fitness are, how bad their knocks were. Liverpool seems to be a good place to start. Jurgen Klopp quoted today on his walking wounded. He says some are still out and doing rehab. Andy Robertson, Curtis Jones, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, and Naby Keita. Then he said Luis Diaz only landed yesterday morning. He said, I've heard he's good, but we'll see. Darwin Nunez, he's being treated with caution after an intense period, and so is Diogo Jota, which doesn't fill me with confidence for picking Liverpool players from all this. But I'm basically taking it that Diogo Jota and Darwin Nunez are not both going to be missing from this fixture. There's no way he would do that if they both seem okay. Luis Diaz, landing late. This is one that is always hard to judge. He said he's heard he's good, so you've got to presume that's okay. But yeah, Robbo, I guess that's the one that people have been weighing up a lot anyway. Do they want to keep him in the FPL teams? If you stuck with him through the international break and then you hear this, I guess you're probably ditching him.
It's interesting because we did see before the injury, Robbo miss 1 or 2 games. I think he came off early in a couple and he missed one. And Tsimikas came in and got a couple of very good performances. I think he got a goal involvement. I think he got an assist from a corner. Tsimikas is only 4.5. So yeah, he'll be good for the Brighton fixture. But moving forward, you're going to be bringing in. If Tsimikas was 4.0, you would take the risk and then just have him as bench fodder. It's a shame at the 4.5, you probably want someone that starts every week.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, so Liverpool is an interesting one. Cameron says getting FOMO not owning Salah, but not sure switching from KDB to Salah for 1 week is worth it. I'm sure we will address that in a little bit, Cam, when we get to our own lineups, because obviously this is a bit of a conundrum for everyone. Nuclear. So Luis Diaz is starting then, since Jota is the one with niggles and Klopp sees Jota as a striker. The thing is, you've got to remember with Jota, and I've spoken about this a couple of times now, before the international break, we saw signs of the old Liverpool and signs of, more importantly, of the old Salah. And it was because Diogo Jota was there in that lineup. It was Thiago as well, don't get me wrong. But Diogo Jota is able to bring something out of Mo Salah that Darwin Nunez can't yet. Yeah. And that is why, from an FPL perspective, you do really want Jota there if you are a Salah owner or are contemplating going back to be a Salah owner right now. A bit of a gamble, it seems, right now. I think he'll play. That's going to be my hunch. I'm going to say that Jota plays because it was a different Liverpool, and I think that Klopp needs to get off to a good start again after this. It was a good performance and result in the end. That result. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
And elsewhere, if we look at Arsenal, they're a team that have had a few niggles as well. Zinchenko looks like he's back training though, which is positive. He's been a bit of a popular FPL pick. I sold him only a week or 2 ago. Loads are selling their Arsenal players, but what are you hearing out of Arsenal?
Yeah, so Zinchenko, obviously, we've all seen the news about him and Martin Odegaard. Obviously, they were both missing before the break, so no great surprise. There's still some concern over them. It sounds like all should be okay. Thomas Partey and Kieran Tierney, obviously the new ones from international duty, both were sent home. Tierney had concussion, so that's a bit different from an injury. He literally had to be taken off and sent home because of protocol. Whereas Thomas Partey had a muscular problem. Look, for me, the most important out of any of these is Thomas Partey, because Arsenal are a different team without him. That is a hole that I don't believe anyone can fill. There's been big questions too about Elneny's fitness. This list actually ran much deeper. Over the international break, there was concerns about Ben White. There was a few others too. I think there was 8 players of concern going through the press conference today. So yeah, there is a bit there to worry about for Arsenal. But for me, it's Thomas Partey that makes so much difference. I guess the one good thing from their point of view, Gabby Jesus wasn't actually on international duty, was he? I don't think he wasn't involved with Brazil.
So he up. Richarlison did.
I think it's because, from what I understand, Gabby Jesus is going to the World Cup. 100%. They
don't need to look at him.
They don't need to look at him. So he was given the time to stay fresh and fit while they looked at other people. Yeah. That's what I've taken from it. So I think that's the case.
Yeah, and Tiffany asked about Jesus. It's a great question, Tiffany, because Jesus sellers are selling a player in a team that's scoring loads of goals, in a team that's firing and a player that's notching returns, but they're selling because it's 2 tough games and then a blank. So it's a really tough decision. If there wasn't many forward options, you would absolutely ride it out and go, yeah, Jesus is there to stay. But not only are there forward options in Tony and Mitrovic, and people did like Isaac, and some are even going Solanke. But you can also cover Arsenal attack for other players. Martinelli's cheaper, and he's a midfield spot, and you get 5 of them. So I personally was a fan of selling Jesus, and I sold him last week ahead of his goal. I was happy with that decision because I think Mitrovic and Tony outshine him in the next 3, 4, 5 weeks.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. If you want to replace him with one of those two, then it's probably fine. I think I've stuck with Jesus for now. I'll look at my team in a bit, but I'll probably keep Jesus. No, I won't keep him through that blank, but I'll probably get rid of him the week before, I imagine. Colm says, Dean, what was your take about Marcus Silva's Mitrovic comments? I take it he'll be starting. I think Mitrovic will be starting too. Fulham just would not be the same team without Mitro.
Yeah.
He played so much of the international break. He was on fire. Mitrovic is not the sort of player that is going to... he's not going to want to miss a game, especially against Newcastle. It's a team he used to play for. I personally think that Mitrovic will play. Fulham don't really have anyone to replace him, to be honest. So, even this is the difficult situation we've got, right? Because players now, even I guess Mitrovic, who normally wouldn't care about playing through an injury, if you've got a World Cup on the horizon, you can't take a risk. This is the problem, because if you even just have a niggle, and that niggle turns from like a 1-week injury to a 5-week injury, you're on the eve of the World Cup suddenly. And then you're like, am I going to make the squad, or are they going to be too worried about me? Or it's a tough one. It's going to be a really difficult one. But I would be surprised at this stage if Mitrovic didn't play. It didn't seem to be strong enough comments for me to think otherwise.
It was funny because I saw loads of photos on social media. And guys in the chat, let us know if you think Mitro starts. Give us a simple yes, you think he starts, or no, you don't in the chat. And we'll see which one comes out on top, because I'm with you, Dean. I do think he starts. But when I first saw the image after the game and saw ice on his ankle, I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. A lot of players have ice on various muscles or bones off the back of a game. And then I saw a video clip where the image was cropped from, and he's walking with the ice pack on his ankle, but he's walking with a heavy limp. But again, I also appreciate footballers are often walking with limps after games and are fine 3 days later.
Exactly. Yeah, I've seen it a lot of times, and I've seen people overcome these things. A couple of painkillers, and they're okay as long as they're sure that they're not going to do any long-term damage. They're usually okay with playing on painkillers. But yeah, obviously, if it was like a ligament or something, you're not going to risk that. So it depends what that ankle problem actually was. Obviously, you're not going to divulge everything in terms of the injury.
Yeah.
But anyone who's had a slight twinge on a ligament knows that that is a risk you can't really take at that intensity.
Yeah.
He's a tough nut. I think that's
and he's playing against his former club. He wants to bang him in against Newcastle.
And he's on fire. Surely. When you're in the sort of form that he's in, no one's stopping you from playing. That's the thing with Mitro. He feels untouchable at the moment, and I think that he'll just want to play every single minute he can.
Yeah. Who's going to be brave enough to tell him he can't play yet?
Exactly.
Yeah. Dow 278k, very good rank this time of the season. That's better than me. I'm pleased with my start. I'm around 400 and something. So yeah, it's a cracking start, mate. Keep it up. Keep watching the show though for your little edges, your little gains, hopefully, that we'll be bringing you. So yeah, thank you guys for the support as always. It's good to see over 100 of you now watching. If you like what you're seeing, then give us a like. If you're new around here, hit that subscribe button. We do these streams, and I'm seeing loads of new names, which is awesome. We do these streams every Monday at 7, every Friday at 7, both UK times. We always like to do it before the deadline. Monday's show is often looking back at the weekend just gone and early thoughts for the week ahead, sometimes touching on the midweek fixtures at the Champions League. And then, of course, our Friday streams are around starting 11s and team reveals and against the obvious, which we've got coming up later as well. So, yeah, keep with us, guys. It's get your questions in. We'll be answering your questions as well. We've had our Fresh Off the Press feature, but now I think coming up, we're going to move on to something which is a little bit of fun, but a little bit of expert knowledge here from Dean as well. So we've got Pep Roulette.
Yeah, always a little bit harder on the back of an international break because we can't be sure exactly of what the condition all of these players are in. But let's look at the Manchester derby and focus on that one for now. The team now running across the bottom of your screen is how we think this is most likely to play out. Obviously, John Stones has picked up an injury, which means I think Laporte should just about come back. He's obviously had a bit of a struggle, but can now come back into the thinking. I think Akanji is available too if they had to go there. But yeah, I think the rest almost takes care of itself. I mean, you could put a question mark over the ideas of Gundogan and Bernardo Silva. Be like, are these guys definitely going to be in? Just think for a fixture like this, you see the players that are most dependable in the biggest fixtures. And for me, it's these guys. Bernardo Silva having an unbelievable season seems to be, for me, nailed on. I think he'll play that role on the right. And then Gundogan, I think he's the starter that I go for. You could say, do you play Bernardo deeper and go with a Mahrez or a Grealish? Not for me. Not a game like this against Man United. I think Man City will be confident. I think they'll really be confident about getting this game won. And the key really is obviously getting the ball to Haaland in the areas that they feel they'll be able to best exploit Man United. That KDB Haaland combination, that's going to be the one to look out for. We've seen there's two threats really there. It's either the De Bruyne defense splitting pass where Haaland gets in behind, or is it when De Bruyne drifts himself over to the right and plays those ridiculously dangerous crosses that Haaland is just eating up? Both of those pathways are there, I think, this weekend. And for United, it's just a massive, massive difficulty in terms of stopping it.
And I love that Spartans. And when De Bruyne does drift right, which he did so well in game week 8 with 2 assists, it's Malacio who's going to have a bit of a test. He'll be at left back, so I look forward to watching that potential mismatch.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so I was looking at United. I mean, obviously that they've got the obvious injury problems up front. Martial and Rashford both deemed unlikely to play in this game. Look, if Rashford could get fit for this, then they'd need to start him, I think, because I don't like the combination that we've got here on the screen. Sancho, Ronaldo, Elanga. I don't think it's strong enough.
Doesn't work for the counter, really, does it? And we know Man City are going to have all of the ball. So Man United have done well against City under Oli, especially when they had like Rashford up top or even Martial. They could just go in behind. Yeah,
it's got to be counter. And think I'm right in saying that they played Bruno Fernandes as a false 9 at the Etihad last time out, and it was, everyone was wondering what on earth was going on, but that won't happen under Ten Hag, even though he has played Eriksen there before. But yeah, you're right. United have to use their quick plays, and that will probably come from Eriksen. The other thing here that's up for grabs is McTominay's spot. Like, is Casemiro ready? If Casemiro's ready, he starts. And I personally would go for it. Like, this is a likely lineup because we're looking at like the odds of this being the case. But I actually think that Casemiro should be getting his first look in here. I think it gives you a much, much better opportunity in that midfield. I'm not a hater of McTominay at all. I can see the benefits of having him. He's a really hard-working player. He understands a lot about the workings of this team, but United are trying to move on to something different now, something better. And I think Casemiro and Eriksen in midfield really could do something special when you need it to happen. They've got more chance, I'd say, of quickly picking out those passes that set you away for a counter-attack that sweeps forward and gets you a goal. If United are going to win this game, it's obviously by an odd goal. If Man City win this game, it could be by 4. That's where we're at now. Just to bear in mind too, Varane has never played against Erling Haaland. Martinez has once. He's played against Haaland once when he was at Ajax. They beat Borussia Dortmund in that game. So not much experience to call upon there for stopping Man City's main man.
It's so funny. That one game Martinez played against Haaland, it's been well publicised by United fans that Martinez was man of the match and he kept a clean sheet and kept Haaland quiet. But worth noting that was just an off day for Dortmund, an off day for the big man up top. And he's still, of course, this guy is going to be reliant on service. The service he's going to get at the weekend compared to what he would have had in that fixture. I think Martinez, they're going to be looking to exploit him aerially. Of course they are. We know De Bruyne whipping in those balls from the right-hand side is aiming for the big man up top, who even when he doesn't head the ball, Dean. That goal he scored in the Champions League from the Cancelo outside of the boot cross, 2.1 meters high. He got his foot when he connected with the ball. Like the guy he's just from out of this world. Like not many guys can jump to 2.1 meters. Haaland got his foot there, and the goal was allowed. The high foot was fine. So yeah, he's not the best in the air, but he can just connect with his feet with everything.
Yeah, totally. Look, this is a man who can score any type of goal, right? He's got 11 Premier League goals already. It's absolutely ridiculous. And obviously, United wanted Haaland for years. You know, when Solskjaer became manager at Man United, one of the key reasons they thought having Solskjaer as their manager would be that he had the links that meant that Erling Haaland would end up at Old Trafford, and that hasn't worked out for them. I don't think he's got any regrets about it. I think he's very happy about where he is right now, and I think United could well feel some pain this weekend if Haaland is able to get those opportunities that he's going to be crying out for. Doesn't get that many touches in the game, but he doesn't need that many touches in the game either. Like absolute predator.
Yeah. Cameron, are you guys doing World Cup content? CGA is an essential part of the week. Thanks, Cameron. Mondays and Fridays wouldn't be the same without us at 7 p.m. But yeah, I mean, we're hoping to continue. I don't know if it will be the exact same time slots. I don't know how the game week deadlines are going to work with the World Cup. I've not studied the fixtures, but yeah, I mean, there'll be rounds of fixtures. There'll be the 4 qualifying rounds before the knockouts. And I'm looking forward to us lining up some content, maybe around deadlines to those particular rounds throughout the month.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out the exact schedule. I mean, for example, England play USA on a Friday at 7:00, so I think it's highly unlikely we'll be doing that one unless I'm doing it from a bar somewhere, my face paint and a pint. Yeah, we'll have to look at the best way to attack it, but. Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to have a crack at World Cup fantasy. I've never taken most fantasies seriously as I'm having to take it this season. But yeah, certainly never taken World Cup fantasy that seriously. But I'm already doing my research, people. I've got a lot of jobs on for the World Cup, and I've been watching a lot. I've watched USA especially over this break, and I can tell you, they are rubbish.
Yeah,
they have been
USA.
I mean. You know, my family American. I was looking forward to this, but as it stands right now, the USA are one of the worst teams heading to the World Cup, or certainly in the worst form, I'd say, playing form heading to the World Cup. So, but yeah, we'll have loads for you coming into the World Cup.
Guys, and if you want a World Cup tip that also works for an FPL tip, Sinistera at Leeds. If you're looking for a 6.5-ish midfielder, I know he's not had 90 minutes yet. He's been eased in slowly. He's scoring goals. His expected goals per 90 is better than Salah's. It's 0.7 goals per game for his starts and small sample size, but Salah's is like 0.69. He scored a couple for Colombia when he came on off the bench the other night, came off the bench and got 45 minutes and got 2 goals against Mexico. Nuclear's actually asked, do you have interest in Sinistera since Leeds fixtures are good from an attacking point of view? Nuclear, that's the one guy I'm considering still transferring into my team. I'll show you my team coming up in just a sec. And when we do, you'll see what my plans are. In fact, I think we should probably go to it now. So let's check out our team reveals. Here we go. We're going to keep you waiting on that Sinistera chat with my team. We're going to give you 5 minutes
this is me.
Of Dean's team.
Yeah, so well, just the one change for me this week. I've brought in James Maddison. I've ditched Martinelli to get him in. I'm going to talk about that in a bit. But yeah, James Maddison, obviously a player that a lot of people are jumping on right now. Reasonably comfortable. I guess there's a slight possibility that Perisic doesn't start, as there always seems to be a doubt he doesn't start. Bit of a dilemma on, like, do I play Andreas or do I start Aronson, for example? Like, that one's a bit 50-50. Like, I think both of those teams will win, so I'm just trying to figure out, like, they both press high up. They're pretty similar, to be honest, in what they offer their teams. At the moment, I'm just heading towards Andreas, but I might yet change my mind. And yeah, Haaland's got the armband. If you're captaining Haaland this week, like the stream. Love it, CH. Yeah, I'm going with it. This is the first time this season I've given him the armband. First time.
I can't believe that. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
it's stupid. Yeah, it's stupid. I agree, but it's true.
I feel like we've looked at your captain points each week, and they've been on a par with you've gone Kane and matched Haaland, or last week Kane outscored him. When you've gone Salah, he's kind of matched him.
It's not been too bad. I've got away with it so far, but I feel like it would be too much of a gamble to try and be too smart from this point onwards. So I think Haaland might be wearing that armband for a little while.
Yeah, I like it. And your move, it's interesting because you went Maddison in for Martinelli, but you clearly had a huge amount of funds in the bank. You still have. You could have gone Aronson or De Silva out. But I like your thinking. You want to keep that money in your 11.
I want to keep it.
Yeah, as soon as you spread it too thin, you then don't have the money to go up to Salah when you want him.
And this is it. And I know that in a few weeks' time, I want to get to Salah. Like, I'm convinced, like, he's coming back in. So yeah, that's staying there. I didn't want to be too silly and spend, like, I don't know, 10 million on Sterling or something. I don't know, wherever I'd have gone. But yeah, keeping it around that mark keeps me in pretty safe spot. Captaining Salah all the way. Yeah, I mean, we talked briefly about Salah the other day, the fact he'd been sent home from international duty early. Great news for Liverpool. He's going to hit the ground running, right? Like you'd imagine. Like he's got the bit between his teeth. He's feeling fresh. He wants to prove to everyone he's not done in this league. Like too many people saying, "Oh, that's it now. It's all over." He was playing quite a withdrawn role on the right. Can't see it happening anymore. He'll be wanting to get back in the goals. Why Bernardo over Foden? Alan's just asking me. I'll come back to the Maddison one in a second. Well, it's cheaper, and I had Bernardo in already from the last game week. That's basically it. And Bernardo, for me, is almost as good a pick as Foden at the moment, to be honest. Foden's got slight more of a goal threat, but in terms of goal involvement, I'm as confident of Bernardo Silva being involved in the Manchester derby as I am Foden. So that's why I've gone there.
He's outscored him in the last 5 games, and you clock up their points. Bernardo's had a 9, a 6, a 3, a 0, and a 6. Foden a 4, 4, 2, 0, and 8. So yeah,
he's having a really good season. Yeah, he's having a really good season.
Yeah, Bernardo's on top.
Yeah, I didn't know that, but that's reassuring to know. It's just this is kind of a pick that isn't always a good idea in FPL, but it's more from what I've seen just watching games rather than a stat pick. It's like you can see what he actually offers this team. You can see what an outlet he is and how quickly he'll play a pass and the sorts of assists he's looking for, the areas he finds himself arriving in around the box. I just think he's just such a good player. It might be his last season at Man City. Foden will probably outscore him over the course of the season, but I'm not planning this as a pick for the course of the season. This is a player that will probably be phased out, so not a big deal. Is Maddison an option for captaincy? Oh, too much of a gamble for me, but I guess for some people that are a bit more willing to do that, you could.
If Haaland wasn't in the game, then yeah, Haaland's in this game, and he's playing United, which is the team he said he's most looking forward to playing against. So yeah, it's a bold move. But I like this team being set up. You got 3.2 in the bank. Eventually, we know Bernardo doesn't have a fixture in game week 12. You might want to phase Bernardo out. You've just said he's probably not a long-term pick for you. Yeah, Salah can come into that slot. And all you've got to do to accommodate that is probably a downgrade on Perisic and a downgrade on Aronson, and you can find those funds, and that works. And then you've still got a really good-looking team. Yeah, exactly that. So that's basically, I mean, over the next 3 weeks, I'll just be one transfer a week to phase out and prepare for that week. But I'd imagine that's when Salah comes back in. Exactly that. No Martinelli. Surely you want him from game week 13 onwards. Stick with the stream, everyone, because we're going deep on Martinelli in a little bit. You absolute pro. Gianni, I play Aronson over Andreas. Dean is a Fulham fan. Remember, guys, he doesn't have Mitrovic. So by playing Andreas, he's covering Mitro a little bit. I don't want to go into too much detail on Fulham, but they are missing a big man in the middle. Paulinho is suspended. He got 5 yellow cards. That is a massive loss. That Fulham output. So, like, what we'll do, so people will be on, so what happens there? I imagine what I would certainly do, play Harrison, Reed, Holding. You stick Tom Cairney in there too. Tom Cairney has been quite regularly one of the first subs and comes into that sort of role. I think he'll fit best. He's perfectly capable of playing at level of playing against Newcastle. He's chomping at the bit too for the chance to start. So I imagine it'll be Tom Cairney that comes in. Yeah. Good stuff. Teams looking great. Says CH has also
Blimey.
been adding to the. Yeah, it's a good rate in that. No Zaha, Dean, it says Eddie. No. And remember, guys, this isn't a wild card team that you can only have one transfer each week. So Dean's gone Maddison over Zaha. Did you look at Zaha? I mean, he's got Chelsea this week. I think next week Zaha's going to get a ton of transfers in because his fixtures are going to be the best of anyone's after this week. But this week it's Chelsea, who are going to be keen to impress under Potter. That I like backing Chelsea. I think I'm going to like backing this Chelsea defence against Potter. I like Potter's defence at Brighton. A lot of us owned a lot of Brighton players or their goalkeeper in the last year and a half. So I don't expect much from Zaha. Let's have a look at my team.
Yeah, okay.
I've gone no transfers yet. This is my wildcard team from last week. My big question mark here is: do I sell Martinelli like you, Dean? But I'm gonna hear later on in the show your take on Martinelli and perhaps look at moving him on. If I could have gone to Maddison with my 0.1 in the bank, I would have done. The only way I can make Maddison work in this team is a 4-point hit. Perisic goes down to a 4.1 million defender and Martinelli goes to Maddison. That was a move I was genuinely looking at making because I'm not sure I want Perisic long-term with all the fixtures coming up. And I do think Spurs can cede to Arsenal. But I needed a 4.1 defender, guys. I own Williams already. I don't want Emerson, who's a big minutes risk. And I need players playing each week because in game week 12, we're going to have no City and Arsenal fixture. I'm going to need those enablers off the bench. The only 4.1 million defender I wanted was Nathan Patterson, who I was all set to buy before the international break. And then, of course, he's out for 4 to 5 weeks. So
that's a big blow, that is.
That's a huge break for Everton clean sheet points and for those that wanted him in FPL
100%.
and Everton fans. So, yeah, that move doesn't work for me. And I'm not willing to go get a 4.1 million defender that doesn't play. Tsimikas is 4.5 this season, LFC. That's the problem. Last year, he was 4.0. And I would have made that move for 1 week only because I do think Tsimikas is a good pick versus Brighton.
Yeah.
Set piece threat too. But
yeah, he did well when he was brought in last time.
Yeah, he did, didn't he? Yeah, I'm going to have to write it out with Martinelli. The only other consideration I've got is Martinelli still out for Sinistera. But again, I've got 0.1 in the bank there. I'd be selling Martinelli at 6.3. Sinistera is 6.5. So again, I would have to take a hit. I can't do a straight swap. Selling Martinelli 6.3. Sinistera, I'm just checking his price now. I'm pretty sure he's not at a drop. And I don't think he's due a drop. Yeah, he's still 6.5. So, yeah. Emerson's not starting every week, Eddie. That's my problem. With the Europa or Conference League with West Ham, I think he'll get a game a week. I just don't know where that game comes. I mean, you look at the last Premier League fixture, again, I think he was left out. Moyes loves Cresswell for set-piece threat. So, yeah, here I am. Dean, question for you on my team. Who do I start as my 11th player? At the moment, Gordon is in. I could go Bailey. I'm writing off Andreas because I've already got Mitro, and I do think that Paulina suspension turns me off Andreas a little bit. Would you go Bailey or Gordon?
I mean, I don't fancy Villa at all this weekend. I really don't fancy them.
Yeah, I don't fancy Villa for goals ever.
I just don't. Like, there's just nothing that is turning me on to Aston Villa at the moment in terms of backing them. I know, especially like Leeds haven't played since September the 3rd. Like, they've had a long break, and I just feel that Leeds are going to have a bit between their teeth. Steven Gerrard's under pressure. I think Southampton versus Everton is such a difficult game to predict. Like Everton, they're generally not many goals in their matches. They're all pretty tight, like 1-1s and stuff like that. Yeah. And they don't have a lot of creativity, right? But he's the guy. Like, he's going to be the one that can bring that team to life. And that's what Frank Lampard's going to be telling him. So I personally think you've got it right now. I'd stick with Gordon.
I think I like the opponent as well. I like Gordon against the high Southampton line. We know Southampton will have a go, especially
Southampton
at home.
Can be terrible, right?
Yeah, they can
be terrible. Leeds don't tend to be... I know that, like, they lost 5-2 last time, so this sounds silly, but that wasn't really a 5-2. I feel like that scoreline looks a bit harsh in the end. But Southampton, they're not that good. They're really not that good. I know Everton aren't brilliant either, but like there's chances there for you.
Yeah, I think I'm set on Gordon. NK, it's an interesting point you make. Bailey, just to add as well, the reason I prefer Gordon as well is minutes. Like, Gordon plays 90 more often than not. Bailey never gets 90. I'm not even sure Bailey starts. Gerrard sometimes goes front two and then he misses out. And then when Dia came on for Bailey and looked really good last time out against Southampton. But the Perisic point's interesting, NK. Don't see this as Bailey midfielder, Perisic defender. They're both wide forwards pretty much. And my rule with FPL is pick good players from good teams if you're ever unsure. Now, Spurs are a much better team than Villa, and Perisic is a much better player than Bailey. So, yeah, I don't think Perisic keeps clean sheets, but I think Perisic has got just as much chance of an attacking return than Gordon, than probably almost the same on par with Martinelli, and definitely outweighs Bailey in terms of chance of an attacking return. So, yeah, Perisic absolutely in my team here.
Yeah, fair enough.
KDB, is it worth switching to Salah or Son? A few are making this move, Dean. I don't know if that's a move that we like. I like Salah for this week, but then you're left with Salah, who has a couple of tricky fixtures, versus KDB, who goes to Southampton next week. I also think KDB's fixture against United is a good one. So Salah, sure, Brighton is lovely, at Anfield especially. Then he plays Arsenal at the Emirates, and I think Arsenal might win that fixture. And then he goes to the Etihad. I'm happy to go without Salah till game week 12. And then De Bruyne Salah swap is on. De Bruyne doesn't have a game. Salah plays West Ham. Easy decision. But until then, I'm committing to De Bruyne.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with it at all. Like, this is, they've got a big game coming up. Fine, big game player, can definitely turn up. I think you've made the right choice. I think he's got 6 assists so far this season. I think De Bruyne is going up with loads. He's the best crosser in the world. I don't know if there's anyone in the world that can cross a ball like De Bruyne, and he's now got Haaland to aim for. He's just going to bring points all the time this season. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I think I agree. Keith, finally, a suggestion in the chat of my Martinelli replacement that I can actually afford. I've seen Barnes been mentioned. He's 6.9. I've seen loads of 6.5 assets mentioned. I can't go straight swap, but I can sell Martinelli for 6.3, and Rodrigo is 6.3 million. And he's listed as a midfielder. So thank you for that tip, Keith. And Leeds, nice fixtures. My problem with Rodrigo is Bamford is now fit. He's available. He's in the match day squad. I think it's one or the other. I don't think both are going to start. We know he likes Harrison. We know he likes Aronson. And I think Sinisterra is going to be a starter. So Dan James don't expect much from. But it's going to be Bamford or Rodrigo. And as good as Rodrigo's been, Bamford's meant to be the main man up there. And he's got credit in the bank. So I think these guys will share minutes.
Yeah, it's a difficult one because he's been putting faith in Rodrigo for sure. But it's Bamford all day long, isn't it? So it's a very tricky one. Bamford for a punt, not seeing his name mentioned much as a replacement for Isak. I think I'm going to, go for it. Like, I do think that Bamford's going to be the thing, and we always worry about Bamford is just his fitness. And I mean, I'm sure it's something that drives Leeds fans mad because they know that what a good team they would be if he was consistently there, but he's just not. Yeah. But at the moment, when you're given positive messages about Bamford, I think go for it. If you fancy a little differential, then go for it.
Yeah, like Leeds are an interesting one. They're not a team I want to spend huge amounts of money on. If you've got the money for someone like a Bamford for a punt, yeah, I get it. Sinisterra is 6.5, and I do think he's going to become like a very, very good FPL asset.
Rafinha.
He's just going to be Rafinha 2.0. South American, plays on the right, attacking, probably got a bigger move in him in a couple of years. Yeah. Aston Villa, Palace, Arsenal, Leicester, Fulham reads the next 5. I like it, and I also like Jesse Marsh for an attacking manager that's got goals in him. Again, this is a decision when you're picking players from mid to lower table teams. Look at the team they play for, especially if it's an attacking player, and don't just look at the individual. Look at the team and look at the manager. Are Leeds a team that can score 1 or 2 goals every week? Yeah, they are, despite the opposition. Is the manager one that tells these guys they can have a go? Yeah, he is. This is why I was hesitant on so many spending 8 million on Jared Bowen last week on their wild card. West Ham are not a team at the moment that you can back to score 2 goals. I'd back Leeds to score more goals than West Ham at the moment, right? So, yeah, there we go.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Barnes and get Martinelli back in 13. I can't go Barnes. Oh, if I had the money. Sorry, Ahmed. What do you reckon to Barnes, Dean? Like, I'm a big fan of Maddison because he's playing well, but Barnes doesn't feel like a main man in that team at the moment. I think he's been flirting with kind of 60 minutes quite a lot.
I just think Leicester are too big a gamble anyway. Like, Maddison has been managed to have great performances throughout a terrible time. And doesn't seem to be too affected by what the actual scorelines is, which is what we need to look out for in FPL. Like, we're supporting players, not teams. And I think Barnes is a bit more affected by a team performance than Maddison. So, yeah, I don't think I'd be turning to Harvey Barnes right now, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't think I'm convinced. I massively am convinced on Maddison. He is the only Leicester player. And when we talk about teams, absolutely, that is a team I back to score 2 goals a game any given week. They did it at the Spurs Stadium, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're a team I'd back, and I'm very, very jealous that I cannot reach Maddison this week without major surgery, and I'm not willing to go down that route.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Totally.
Can't have them all, Dean. I think it's time now for our favourite feature of the night. And look, guys, if you're new to the show around here, we do this every Friday. We give you reasons not to pick very, very good players. It's very difficult us putting a name forward each week, but we do it for entertainment purposes and also for, there's often a bit of meaning behind it. We often don't necessarily love that pick. So we're going to go into now against the obvious.
Time to defend myself over axing Martinelli from my team, a decision that most people are not taking at the moment. Martinelli is the most selected midfielder in the game at the moment. So to get rid of him this week is a bit of a gamble, because if he flies, then I'm in trouble. But I don't think Martinelli is actually giving that much value, even at 6.6 million at the moment. You look at his last few game weeks, 3 points against Brentford, 2 points against Man United. Okay, he got 10 against Aston Villa, 2 points against Fulham. Look, this guy, he's good, but he's not quite as good as everybody's making out. Even if you look at overall points, like, you could look at De Bruyne. Okay, he's got 45 compared to Martinelli's 39. That's not a fair comparison because of the price point. But Pascal Gross, he's got more points this season than Martinelli. Marcus Rashford has more points this season than Martinelli. I think you could even look towards somebody like Wilfried Zaha if you can get there. Look at the fixtures and feel like Zaha is a better pick going forward for Martinelli. He's got Tottenham, he's got Liverpool, he's got Leeds, he's got a blank, and that's why I'm getting rid of him.
I like it. That last 10 seconds was strong, mate. It's all on the fixtures and that blank.
It basically is. I had to round it off with that, yeah.
Love that. Yeah, there's a few selling Martinelli. A few in the chat saying they're selling Martinelli. Look, he's the guy that I have considered selling, but yeah.
I can't believe he is the most selected midfielder in the game. I know he's good value, but like, he's well clear. He's got 47.4% selected, right? De Bruyne's at 32, Salah's at 35, Luis Diaz is down at 26, Zaha's down at 16%. Like,
yeah, it's all those that started the season and gave up after 3-4 weeks. Yeah. And everyone started the season with him because FPL priced him at 6.0.
Yeah.
So he started the season on probably, I don't know, 30, 40% because he was 6.0. But yeah, you're right. There's still a ton of active managers that are keeping the faith and building it. It's the value that he's built as well. Like, if I sell Martinelli now, I sell him at 6.3. I have to pay 6.6 to get him back, but it's still making profit.
He is making profit. I mean, not sure where it's going to end up, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
He's holding the mallet of doom for.
Love that, Nuclear. Good job. Okay. There's a lot of people out there that will think that was bonkers, but you're also going to think this is absolutely bonkers. I'm telling you guys to steer clear of probably the second best asset in FPL over the last couple of seasons. King Mo has always been number one, but Trent has been consistently the second best FPL asset in the game we all know and love. And I'm telling you not to pick him. Why? Well, look, are they going to keep a clean sheet against Brighton? Maybe, but I'm not confident like I perhaps used to be with Liverpool or was in seasons gone by. Then it's Arsenal at the Emirates. Definitely no clean sheet. I'd be surprised. Man City, definitely no clean sheet. Now, look, for Trent, we're not just picking him for clean sheets. We're picking him for attacking returns, right? Because this is a guy that always delivers goals and assists. Well, so far this season in the Premier League, it's 1 goal and 1 assist. Now, look, they're pretty modest returns. They're not bad. The expected assists are there too, but I just think there's better. Reece James, Cancelo, Trippier, better value players. 8 million, 7.4 million. It's just way too much money at the moment. I'll be getting him in, but not till the fixtures turn green.
Yeah, I mean, look, You did well there. It's the price. It's the price. Like at 7.4 million, he's not worth it at the moment. He's gonna be though, and this is the thing. You just never know when when that trigger's gonna go off for him, and he just goes through a spell where he's gonna hit form. I was looking at his stats. Like it's easy to forget, right? Trent's 23 years old,
Wow.
ridiculously young, right? So young. Can't believe he's still this young. Over the last 4 years, he's got 58 assists for Liverpool. That's absolutely ridiculous. That's ludicrous numbers he's hitting up. I do wonder if we do start to see a bounce back from him now because he's going to be so fresh. Don't forget, Liverpool had 2 games called off before the break. Still played Champions League games, but their 2 Premier League games were called off. And then he went to England duty and wasn't involved at all. So, like, in terms of match freshness, like, if anything, he might be rusty because he hasn't played anywhere near as much as he'd be used to playing. But, like, generally, I think that there is a possibility that Trent starts to come into all our thinking soon because there'll be a performance that gets him going and then we all need to jump on him again. But until that moment comes, he's just not worth that money.
Yeah. And we're talking about world's best crossers, KDB, Trent. There's not much in it between those two, is there?
No.
Guys, this part of the show is all about you now. We're going to go quick fire questions. We're going to alternate. I'll take Peter's and then we'll go on to Dean's question.
Yeah, go. Yeah.
So, Zaha, Martinelli, or Trippier? Which one do you bench? Wow, that is a strong squad. I'd bench Zaha, I think. I think that Spurs-Arsenal game has goals in it, so you want to start Martinelli. Trippier's always a threat. Does he keep a clean sheet? Hard to predict, but you always back Trippier for a set-piece attacking return. Zaha versus Chelsea, I think he'd be the one I bench.
Yeah, agree. Who should I bench, lads? Perisic or Zuma? Zuma.
Easy.
That's all I've got to say. Zuma, yeah. Just go Zuma.
Easy that. Is Bowen a keep? He plays Wolves as Wolves of Nathan Collins out suspended. Do that. It's funny now. We're starting to see those 5 yellow card suspensions. We've seen it with Paulinho. We've seen it with...
Yeah, I didn't know that.
With Collins. There's a couple of players on 4. Anthony Gordon is one of them, which is annoying for me. He's suspended for that game week 12 when I need all my players playing. I guess you keep... No, if you don't have Maddison, sell him to Maddison. If you do, keep him one more week and then maybe get to Zaha.
Yeah, I didn't realise he's out for that. Right, can you go Martinelli to Barnes in this game week? Talking about losing Jesus. Yeah, do it. I've just told you to get rid of Martinelli, so I've got to say take it. Get rid of Martinelli. He needs to be gone soon anyway, so just go for it. Gamble on Barnes.
Yeah. Okay, will Maupay play? Oh, this is a tough one. Everton, of course, like Frank Lampard seems to love Maupay, doesn't he? He's become like that number 9 he wanted.
Is Calvert-Lewin fit?
Oh, Calvert-Lewin's never fully fit, is he?
I feel like he was on the verge. I'm going to quickly check this while we're talking because this was hints at return. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't sound like he's going to return.
Maupay is quite a resilient type. Like he's not the type that goes, "Oh, I've got a knock. Can I sit out this week?" I think he'll be chomping at the bit to play.
Yeah, it says
fixture as well. Everyone wants to play against. Like, Southampton's a good fixture for anyone.
It is, yeah. I thought actually that Calvert-Lewin was going to be fit, but Lampard's he's played it down. He's not going to be starting this weekend, so I think Maupay's a good bet, to be honest. Isak and Pereira to Solanke and Barnes. I have Maddison already. I mean, don't go two Leicester's. Like, there's nothing to base this on. Leicester have not won a game of football this season. Don't back them that heavily. Solanke as well. No, sorry, I can't. I don't think those are the. It's fine to move on from Isak and Pereira, but those are not the 2 guys I'd be going to, I'm afraid.
Guys, we're not willing to discuss Solanke tonight. This is a Solanke-free zone. Dean and I do not think that's a good pick. I've had a charity bet on with someone to say that he will not return 3 times in the next 4 fixtures, which a lot of people seem to think that he will. Yeah,
I know. Yeah, they've got carried away by the green.
Yeah. Is it a good strategy to go 1 premium on the wild card since I'm going to captain Haaland most weeks? You make a good point about captaincy and premium players. Is it worth owning them if you're not going to captain them? I still think there's premiums out there that are too dynamic, even without the armband, that can get you good, consistent returns, Nuclear. I know you're on a wild card. You know I've gone freemium, and I'd still think freemium's the call. And I'm only going to captain Haaland most weeks, and I still like freemium. Go for 2. You can still stock the midfield up nicely with players like Maddison that I can't reach. Go for it. If you want to save some pennies and go 2, Don't go Trent. When you turn Trent into a 4.5 asset, you can turn Cameron Archer into Ivan Toney. You know, it makes a real difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, Raphael, I have Aronson and Bailey. Who should I play? Oh, this is similar to my dilemma that I've got. And at the moment, I've got Aronson on my bench. But, okay, I probably would go Bailey, to be honest. I think I would just about give Bailey the edge because he seems so driven to prove everyone that he should be in this team. He should be starting. He's been quite vocal about it. So I think, yeah, go Bailey.
John wants to know about Zinchenko. Perisic, easy one for me. It's Perisic because he's so much more attacking. Like Zinchenko gets forward. We like that. Perisic is a different beast. We haven't fully appreciated it yet in FPL. I don't think he's got the returns he perhaps deserves. He's had a lot of assists for Kane that have been expected assists that Kane hasn't finished. He even put it up for Kane who won a penalty and would have got the assist for a Kane penalty that Kane even missed. When does Kane miss a penalty? So the Perisic attacking returns we haven't seen. He hasn't scored. I think he's on 3 assists so far this season and no goals. The goals will come and the assists will continue. Perisic all day long.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go off script here for a second. I just want to pick on something FPL Spartans has said. He said, Dean, from an FPL point of view, we don't care if Leicester haven't won any games. If their assets, Maddison, etc., keep scoring, that's all that matters. And I keep saying, like, yeah, well, Maddison's fine to pick because he is still flourishing. Harvey Barnes is not flourishing. That's my whole point. Like, you can't be picking Harvey Barnes in a Leicester team that aren't functioning because this season he's got 14 points from 8 game weeks. Like that's not a player that
and they've been scoring goals.
And the last 2 game weeks when they've scored 2 goals apiece, he's got 2 points one week and 1 point the other week. Like Harvey Barnes is not showing any form in any shape or size that makes me want to pick him right now. Sorry, that just annoyed me.
Yeah, for 6.9, it's a lot of money as well. How many minutes do you think Bailey gets? I'm not convinced he starts. He was poor against Southampton in that Friday night game. I think he either gets 30 or 60, but he definitely doesn't get more than 60. I'll be surprised.
Yeah, absolutely. Was that my one?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, sorry. Should I hold Bowen? No, I wouldn't. It's hard. Like Bowen, I just feel like he's been a victim of West Ham's football this season. I think that there are some players that can still, like Maddison, I guess, at Leicester, can still flourish. But I feel like Bowen has been really impacted by the fact that West Ham's style has changed because they haven't been playing with the confidence that they were before, and it's limited the type of positions he can find himself in. So I actually wouldn't be getting on Bowen.
Yeah, it's funny, but everyone that owns Bowen are those that wildcarded last week. If you wildcarded last week to bring Bowen in, you probably should give him more time because why did you pick him in the first place? But yeah, I wouldn't have him either. Asher, I've Ramsdale and Ward. Funny, but who should I start? Probably Ward. Probably Ward. And look, there's a lot of talk that Everson's going to be the number 1 goalkeeper at Leicester very soon, possibly even this weekend.
Is that Leicester fans in hope, or is that?
I think it might be. I saw one Leicester Mercury reporter suggesting it, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just what everybody wants to hear right now. But he seems to like Danny Ward. It's going to be a big decision, especially with Brendan Rodgers' job on the line. Imagine changing goalkeepers and then you still lose. It's the sort of time when you lose your job. Right. Is it okay to hold on to Isak for game week 9 if I can bench him for Zaha or Andreas? I don't fancy any of the replacements, to be honest. Yeah, I think it's all right for now. That gives you an extra week to push things forward, and you can play. Like I know Gianni's already played down the idea of Zaha against Chelsea. Obviously, it's a bit of a gamble. We don't really know what we're getting from this Chelsea team, but equally, there is a chance that this Chelsea team do not function properly this weekend. Like they've got a new manager, and they have not all been together throughout the international break to practice as a side. So they're not going to be a collective, and Zaha might be able to take advantage of that.
Yeah, and come game week 10, those Chelsea fixtures, Wolves, Villa, Brentford, United, Brighton, Arsenal, Newcastle, Bournemouth, like good run. It's a sea of green for Chelsea. And look, we need a little bit more intel. We need to know the system. We need to know the players that are playing in advanced positions. That Reece James is the obvious one, Damien, right? Loads of us have got him. Keep your eyes on Sterling. Keep your eyes on Mount. Possibly even keep your eyes on Havertz or Brozier. I don't think Aubameyang because he's 9. He's got to be scoring, braces. Chilwell this week could be worth the punt, though, John. Knowing, of course, he's going to start. Cucurella's out. There are 2 options at left back. I don't think he'll play Aspi there. Don't think he'll play Reece there. So Chilwell punt this week, I like a lot, but just know he'll get a lot of benchings moving forward.
Yeah, tough one that, but I can understand why. It's becoming a little bit tempting now. Michael Ward saying in the comments, "Stop abusing my dad." I hope Danny Ward's not your dad. I mean, I think how old's Danny Ward? Danny Ward's like 29 or something, so we've got like a 10-year-old on. Harrison or Paqueta? Paqueta. Paqueta is going to be an interesting one. Like, he did well in the international break. West Ham have invested a lot in him. I don't think he's an obvious pick by any means. It'd be interesting to see how he actually fits in. But yeah, Paqueta, I think he looks off the pace. Look, he's adapting to so many different things right now. That's one of the reasons I wouldn't tend to go for him right now. But he's a great player. Is he going to want to make an impact as soon as he can? So it might be one that's outside the box that you could go for.
He'll be amazing when Moyes leaves West Ham. When Moyes leaves West Ham, they've got so many good flair players that are going to do really well. You might see Ben Rama being a thing again. Raphael, does Luis Diaz to Maddison make sense? But I keep Martinelli and get a -4 hit. Oh, I don't know. Look, bringing Maddison in this week, if I've got Luis Diaz and Martinelli in my team, I like it. Can you go Martinelli to Maddison straight? I'm guessing not. Luis Diaz is an interesting one. I personally would be happy to sell him, but I know a lot wouldn't, because on his day, he does feel like a player that can go and get you double digits comfortably, right? The Brighton fixture's nice. Maddison's is better. But then when it's Arsenal and City for Liverpool up next, Maddison definitely beats him. So the question is, do you want to keep him one more week and then go Maddison, or Maddison straight away? I wouldn't be taking a -4 to sell Martinelli. That's the decision I'm making for my team.
Totally. Evening to FPL Focus, who has just arrived in the chat and says, "Sorry, I'm late, but I've had to put the twins to bed, but I'm here." You don't have to apologise, mate. I struggle to put one kid to bed most of the time, so having twins, I can't even imagine. What have you missed? Oh, mate, you're going to have to go back to the start. I'm really sorry. Really sorry.
We just spoke about Dominic Solanke for 57 minutes. Good to see FPL Focus on Twitter. He's bought some training cones for his children to get them on the football pitch doing some advanced drills. So I like that. Coach Focus. Play Amazing. Justin or Zaha. Ooh, I'd probably play Wilf. Justin clean sheet just won't happen. Leicester don't keep him, and Zaha. He scores against big teams, Zaha. He turns it on in those fixtures.
He's having a good season. Like, he really is. How do you only have 3.4k subscribers? Not enough people who watch the stream give it a like. So if you want to go... No, I'm kidding. I mean, we're quite new. So, I mean, to be honest, having 3.4 is pretty good. But yeah, we agree. We'd like to have more. We think that we could be challenging some of the big boys before too long. We just got to get some eyes on it. So if anyone of you want to help spread the word... we're not going to stop you. Please feel free to do our marketing for us.
Yeah, take to social media on Monday night, guys, when we've got a very special guest coming in. Monday at 7 is not one to be missed. When I say special guest, I'm talking about a person that you just do not see on FPL YouTube channels. In fact, I'd probably suggest you've never seen them on an FPL YouTube channel, yet they are an FPL legend. Honestly, guys, there is going to be so much fun on Monday night, and you can help us get more eyes on the screen and get us more subscribers by retweeting the link or sharing it on your Insta or your Facebook at 7 p.m. on Monday, because I guarantee you will not be disappointed by this guest. I've built it up now, Dean. Got to deliver.
Yeah, got to deliver, mate. It's a big one. Big shout out to Charlie as well behind the scenes, who's got this channel to where it is, by the way. Like, big shout out to Charlie. He's been massive for all of us at Chasing Green Arrows and getting the name out there. So thanks to Charlie for everything he's done.
Yeah, exactly that. My thoughts too. And yeah, we've been averaging 1,000 subscribers a month for the last 2. Like, we're super proud of that. Charlie was instrumental in gaining that. So yeah, big nod there. Thank you, mate. Oh, look, he's even getting love in the chat. FPL River and Focus as well.
Everyone give Charlie some love.
He's a City fan. He's going to the game on Saturday. He's got some big seats, apparently.
Yeah, he's become mates with some of the players. He's too big time for us now. He's got bigger fish to fry.
Good stuff, guys. Thank you very much for watching tonight.
It's not Ben Krellin. It's not Ben Krellin.
It's not Ben Krellin, and Ben won't mind me saying this, but it's better. It's better. Ben's awesome.
You lot aren't going to believe it. Tune in Monday.
Yeah.
Hope he's here.
Yeah. Good stuff, guys. He's been Dean. I've been Gianni, and we've been Chasing Green Arrows.